The word would be hypocrisy. Rachel just talked about abuse, divorce. I want to be very clear with what I'm about to say. It is normally not my business.
Here we go.
To talk about how many children you have, how many ex-husbands you have. But when you have somebody to my left who wants to tell other women how to live their lives, I'm going to bring this up, and I'm going to bring up some studies. Now, Rachel has 3 baby daddies. Why is that important? Well, Guzzo and Firstberg's study says that if you do have multiple baby daddies, the family has higher stress, more likely to have more mental health issues, the things that you claim that you care so much about. I do as well. The Dorius study, lower income and families most likely in children have a lower education rate. The Rutgers study, you just talked about physical violence. The Rutgers study, which, by the way, these studies have just come out in the last couple of years. You could look it up if you would like on your phone. By the way, you want to go back to 50 years or 100 years ago, then why do you use a cell phone? I'm just curious. Why do you use a cell phone? You can laugh, but if you want to go back to the way things were 50 or 100 years ago, we were a slavery nation. Are we still a slavery nation now? Do you want to go back to slavery? Should black people be allowed to vote?
We didn't have slavery in the 1950s. What is this moron talking about? We have to go back to caveman times where you grab them by the hair and pull them to your cave? What a fucking idiot.
Love you to answer those questions. But anyway, going back to that Rutgers.
I will note here too, I forgot to put the note in there. He did go personal first, talking about her family situation. It's going to play into later events.
Study. If you have multiple baby daddies, there's a much higher rate. In fact, a 24% higher risk of physical violence and sex abuse. A Halpern study. Among other studies, you're likely to be below the poverty line if you have multiple baby daddies. Now, you might tell me right now, and I would believe you, if you said, I got through it, my kids grew up to be great people, and I would say, I'm happy for you, I think that's great. But why is it okay for you, but not okay for them? Why is it okay for you to say, well, you know what, I made some, maybe you won't say it was a mistake, I don't know, I'll ask you. But why would it be okay for you hypothetically to say, I made some mistakes, but, you know, everything turned out okay. My kids turned out okay. Why can't other women use those same excuses if they have kids after 30? Or
this is the dumbest argument I've ever heard. There's nothing hypocritical about that. If you make a mistake, it's the best thing you can do to come out and share it with the world so other people don't share in that mistake. Like I had a baby with a demon. You're not supposed to have babies with demons. I like to share my experiences with the world so y'all know not to put your dicks in demons. That's not me being hypocritical. That's me trying to guide you against doing that.
if they want their own career, if you want to be a stay-at-home mom with kids, I think that's great. Go ahead and do that. But if you want to be out there in the workforce and be a doctor or a lawyer, you should be allowed to do that too. And Bible thumpers shouldn't be telling you what you should or shouldn't do. That's exactly what you do, Rachel.
Why not? Why not? Back that up. That's just an assertion. Why shouldn't they?
Rachel. So I'd like you to explain to this audience right now why it's okay for you to have 3 baby daddies, why it's okay for you to take those risks and those studies that I just mentioned for your kids, but why is it not okay for everybody else?
You notice how they let them get away with just asserting things. Bible thumpers shouldn't be telling people how to live their lives. Why not? If they have a happy life and all they see is everyone complaining on the internet about how awful their life is, why shouldn't they try to help and maybe give them a better way, a way that they'd be happier? Why is that a bad thing? He never says. He just says they're not supposed to for some reason because Brian Shapiro says so.
We will switch over to Rachel for her 5-minute rebuttal. Got the timer set for you, Rachel. The floor is all yours.
So what you just heard was amateur hour of somebody who does not know how to make an argument, somebody who doesn't know what a debate is or how to
Ad hominem
have a
attacks.
debate. You can't
Ad hominem
interrupt.
attacks.
You can't.
Or you can't interrupt during the
No.
Yep, go ahead.
Again, amateur hour. This is
Proving her point, he doesn't know how debates work.
the person who did the ad hominem attacks. He didn't present an argument. He just said, what about you? He used a tu quoque fallacy. What about you, though? This debate has nothing to do with my life or your life or
Yes,
my
it does.
personal life or your personal
I'm
life.
supposed to interrupt.
Okay.
Going to interrupt.
Control yourself, Brian.
Yeah.
Sean, Brian.
Staggering lack of self-control.
Turning red already.
Again, another fallacy, a straw man fallacy. My argument was not that I can tell women what to do. My whole entire opening was just explaining what has happened to society in general, going over data. There was no condemnation of working mothers. There was no condemnation of women who need to leave abusive relationships like I did. There was no, we need to go back to slavery, which was 50 years ago, I guess. Again, not sure how this person is employed in media. But all that aside,
DEI. They hired somebody that looks like the Kool-Aid man.
he did not address any of the arguments I made, which were that, actually what he did was support my arguments by saying, yeah, when families are broken up, it's bad for kids. When we see divorce, rampant divorce, children raised in single household families, it's bad for kids. Yes, it is. Now, if everyone was only getting divorced in instances of abuse or abandonment, we would see divorce rates much closer to numbers that we had prior to no fault. You would see, if you look at surveys, the reasons for divorce, things like legitimate physical abuse are very far down on the list. They're usually like 4th or 5th. The number one reason is irreconcilable differences. I fell out of love. Mr. Johnson down the street makes me feel sexy. I need to find myself. And the kids are resilient and they'll get over it. What I'm against is this frivolous breaking down of families to chase personal happiness. The kids don't get over it. We have massive studies on what happens to children after divorce. And as Brian brilliantly laid out, it's very bad for kids. We see the worst outcomes for children coming from broken homes. So the argument is not no one can get divorced. The argument is divorce should only be permitted for very good reasons. That was the historic norm for the church. I'm not saying that women can't work outside the home ever. I'm saying that mothers already have a full-time job and that pushing them to work outside the home, creating the two-income trap that's been laid for us by feminism, reduced women's choices. It didn't give us more choices. There was never a time when women were not allowed to work. It just wasn't the norm because women already had a full-time job, especially prior to the birth control pill in 1965, when most women had an average of 3 to 7 kids, depending on what time frame you're looking at. That's a full-time job. It didn't make sense to send women out to do men's jobs. It didn't make any sense to push them outside the home and force them to work. And now women like me who want to stay home struggle and find that they can't and find that they have to work when all they really want to do is be at home raising their own children, and they're forced to try to outsource that, which is why most women only have 1 or 2 children anymore. You can't afford to put 5 kids in daycare. So we have very small families, we have lower birth rates, and we have unhappier women who are now trapped in a different set of bad circumstances with abusive cohabitating partners instead of a husband who loves them and takes care of them. We're trapped in this two-income trap. We have women who are trying to juggle everything and balance everything and are struggling to do that, and they're reporting higher levels of anxiety and depression. I'm not here to condemn women. Brian's here to condemn me personally, apparently, which is the actual ad hom argument. If he had an actual argument rather than just pointing at me, that would be fine. But if all he's here to do is say, well, but you got divorced because you were in an abusive marriage, that's actually not an argument. It supports my argument that you should be able to get out of abusive marriages, and you were. You were actually able to get out of abusive marriages prior to no fault. No fault means you don't need a reason, and the other party does not have to agree. And that's where I think that we went wrong.
Thank you very much for that rebuttal from Rachel.
I don't think you should be able to get married if your partner doesn't want you to, because that, unless it's like one of those conditions. You agreed in front of God to take this person forever. Forever is you swore an oath. Like if you swear an oath, you got to live up to that oath. Can't just leave because you want to. That should be taken out completely.
Rachel, we're going to. So we're going into the 40-minute crossfire or open dialogue. I'm going to trust you guys, but if there are interruptions, I do have to jump in and break it into 90-second responses. So handing it off to you, the floor is yours.
Well, first of all, for somebody that wants to stay home, you're certainly out a lot debating people, so I really don't understand that argument.
Personal
Well,
again.
Are you
One.
aware of well, let me
Was
address that,
Was that
since
10
this
seconds,
is the back and
or
forth.
can I just finish?
this is
'Cause
the back
that
and
was like-
forth.
I know, but that was like 10 seconds.
But you already
You
got
just-
it wrong. So my
Okay,
children
well,
are
you got everything wrong.
my children
got
are
everything
grown.
wrong.
No, I got everything right.
I know
Once you have children, you just got to stay home until those kids die, I guess. Like, what the fuck is these dude thinking of?
they're grown.
They're
Can I
grown
just
up
finish?
and out of the house.
Can I just finish?
So
Okay.
I've never
I
said
finish?
that women can't leave the house when their kids
I-
have grown up and left, and that
Okay.
they can't.
Do you believe women
legally-
should be allowed to vote?
Do you think women are chained to the kitchen? Do you
I'm
think
asking you a
chained to
question.
the
Do you
kitchen?
think women should be allowed to vote?
I think it would be better if women and many other groups didn't vote. I would
But especially
categorize
women.
women as one of the groups that should not.
I-
Yes.
Is there any other demo that shouldn't be allowed to vote, or is it just
Yeah.
women?
Gingers.
I think there's a lot of different ways that you could limit suffrage that would make everything a lot more fair and a lot more efficient. I think that if you're taking more from the system than you get, so that would be a great way to limit suffrage. You'd have to be a net zero taxpayer. You can't be taking more than you're getting. So if you're getting more in SNAP benefits and welfare
So
than
voting
you're paying,
should be based on how much you pay in taxes, or if you pay
it
taxes?
should be based on whether you are contributing to the system or not. If you're taking more than you're contributing, no, you shouldn't be having a voice in governance. You should also have
agree
to
with
take
that.
a civics test, proving that you
Yes.
have some rudimentary understanding of how our government works.
A lot of people wouldn't vote for Donald Trump if that was the case. But anyway, so you don't think that women should be allowed to vote?
As if Democrats know about civics. They watch CNN. Most of them are children. They were going with the low information children voters with CNN. We go with the low information boomers on Fox News, like respectable fucking propaganda operations.
You don't think women should be allowed to vote? At least
Yeah,
if they're.
would you like me to explain why?
No, do you know why the birth rate is so low?
No, he doesn't want me to explain.
Well,
Because women are awful. We keep trying to tell you, Brian. If you ever go around one, you'd know.
I will
I
anyway
find
when
it.
I get
I
a
find
chance.
it interesting that you want to take away one of the most fundamental rights of a woman, which is being able to vote. By the way, women are,
So women weren't women before like 1920 or whenever they started being able to vote? That's not a fundamental. If it were, they would go and defend the right to vote like men have to do. Why should you get a say in a war you don't even fucking gonna participate in? Fuck that.
I think you're aware, bringing children into this world.
Not enough.
Well, yeah. Why?
No.
Why is that? What's the number one reason why women aren't bringing children in?
Do you want to know like the actual correlate?
No, I want to know the
declining-
polls of the last 2 years, and women have asked, because I have the studies right in front of me right here. What is the number one reason, Rachel, why women aren't bringing kids into this world in the last 2 years? Do you know the reason for
I
that?
can tell you what the actual data says. The data says that the number one correlate to declining birth rates around the world in every culture, regardless of income or religion, is women's access to higher education and pushing them into
Not
the
true.
workforce.
So according to the Johns
Yes, it
Hopkins
is.
School of Public Health, which have been polled for the last 2 years, they've done it 8 times. The Johns Hopkins School of Public Health, I'll take their word over yours. They say the number one reason why women don't want to bring children into the world is something called the economy, Rachel. Now let's talk a little bit about the economy
what's
real
that?
quick. Hold on. Let's talk a
So one poll told him that. One poll.
little bit about that. Let's talk a little bit about that, Rachel.
Okay.
Why are people losing
Hey, I read a poll that said Kamala was going to win too. Is she the president?
their medical coverage? Why are people losing their food stamps? Is it because they're just lazy and they don't want to work?
Okay.
You see, because
we're doing another straw man argument
it's a straw man.
because
Everything's a straw man argument.
I'll explain how you're wrong.
Yeah,
the
I'll
only
explain why you're
the
wrong.
only people who do have replacement birth rates are the poorest people. So if it was economics, we wouldn't see that the only people having children would be the poorest among us. And historically, everybody has had children during times of
Mm-hmm. So
much,
it's because of
much
poor
worse
people. You're
poverty.
saying the reason why is because poor people can't bring people into the world.
No, I'm saying
Congo and Somalia ain't having no problems reproducing.
So,
listen very
I'm
carefully and try to understand.
I'm listening.
The poor people are the ones having the babies. So the people who have the
So-
resources are opting out because they think their job is more important, because they want to take vacations,
So-
because they want to pay for a second.
Which proves her point. Women having access to the workplace, that's what's causing this. They go to the workplace and now they're worried about the economy. But in poor places where women aren't working, they don't worry about the economy. They worry about dinner.
So when the
vehicle and
people
a
that
bigger
aren't
mortgage.
poor are polled and they're saying that the reason why they're not having kids is because of the economy.
It's
Are they
because they are
lying?
prioritizing a higher material standard of living. Yes.
Yes.
So what has changed then?
Women used to just worry about the economy of the household. Now they're worried about the economy of the world. And that's the problem. If y'all would just go back to worrying about the household economy, things would get a lot better and you'd be a lot happier because we can make the household economy look a lot better than the world economy.
And in the last-
Materialism.
So
Atheism
what
and
is-
materialism.
Okay, so you think it's atheism?
It's
You think
atheism
it's
and
because they don't
materialism.
believe in God, and
It's
that's the
because
reason
they're
why they're not having children?
prioritizing having stuff.
Yes, if you're an atheist and you don't have any problem unaliving a baby, yes, there's going to be a lot less children being born.
Right.
And having a career over
Mystery
having
What
solved.
should we do about that? What do you think? Do you think taking away health care and
I think what
and
we
food
should
stamps
do about
is the
that,
right
I'll
thing
tell
to
you
do?
what we should do about it is what I'm doing right now, what Andrew does all the time, which is explain why atheism is retarded. And why you shouldn't hold to secular materialist worldviews that have no grounding, that have no fundamental basis for morality, and lead you into deaths of despair, and lead you into an antinatalist position where you won't even reproduce
You know
yourself.
what? I think you saying that makes you retarded. So first of all, to use that word and to call it's not cool
See,
for
our
her
word.
to use that word.
Our word.
To say that just because we don't believe in what you believe, that people
Brian, I thought you weren't going to tell people what to do. Now you're telling me what words I can use. Huh?
are retarded. Because
Bro, that's retarded.
Okay, good. So let me be very clear, okay? Everybody has the right to believe in what they believe in. Everybody has the right. You can be a Christian, you can be an atheist, to call people retarded because
So I don't have that right, you're saying? I don't have the right in a country with freedom of speech? I can't say retard when you're acting like a retard?
they don't believe in the religion that you
Oh,
believe in,
how
or they
dare
don't
me,
believe
I
in
know,
God,
I know. Oh,
is
how
so
dare
beyond
I.
absurd and bigoted in
It's
nature. It's
retarded?
ridiculous.
Is that what
I've heard him
It's
call
ridic-
people
No, I
that.
think you are. So what I was going to say,
where's your argument? Do you have an argument?
what I was going to say, just be quiet. Make
Oh.
Andrew a sandwich and
Wow.
be quiet. So
Oh, Mr. Feminist just told a woman to be quiet, go make a sandwich. Look at that. Look at that. Whenever you get in trouble, look what comes out.
It's pretty misogynistic.
20 million. Andrew, do you have a cigarette? Because I need one right now. So listen.
I know it's
I
got
want
to be
everybody-
embarrassing
hold on.
getting your butt
Be
whipped
quiet
by
for
a
second.
housewife.
Yeah, you're
You're getting beat by a girl.
you're kicking my butt, Rachel. Calling everybody retarded because they don't think like you is a wonderful argument to make. So
It worked.
20 million people in this country have lost their health care because of what is in the big and beautiful bill. Millions of people have lost their food stamps. And while people that are sitting over there think it's funny that people in this country are struggling, living paycheck to paycheck, many of those people can't afford to have a child. And if they have multiple children, they have to work 2 jobs. They have to work 3 jobs. Now, what happens if a woman hasn't met the right man and she's in her 30s? What does she do there? What happens if a woman is a single woman trying to raise children? What is she supposed to do to raise those children? You know, the people who you support are against unemployment
How'd she get those children if she doesn't have no man?
benefits. They're against maternity leave, and they're basically against every government program that would help that mother raise that child. These are the people that you support.
Why are my tax dollars being used to help that woman raise her mistakes? Like, I have my own mistakes to raise. I don't know why I should have to pay that. I can't understand it.
So while you can call people retarded for simply not agreeing with your religious beliefs, you're mocking me for making arguments, and yet you want to insult everybody that disagrees with you. Let me be very clear. I support. Wait, hold on. 10 seconds.
At some
10
point,
seconds.
I have to be able
Okay,
to
at some point you
respond.
will. Finish the sandwich. So the point that I was trying to make was I want everybody to believe in what you want to believe in. I'm not going to call you retarded.
I'm so confused. Misogynism is bad until I need it when I'm getting my ass kicked in a debate to a girl.
Because you don't want to be Christian, because you don't want to be Jewish. By the way, I'm not an atheist. I do believe that there is a higher power. I just don't consider myself an extremely religious person. I would never call you all retarded because you don't believe in the same religion that Rachel believes in. I don't live my life based on a book. You can. I choose not to. That doesn't make me retarded. It doesn't make you retarded. I know a lot of very intelligent
Brian's not a reader.
people that do not believe in God. It doesn't mean they're bad people. It doesn't mean they're retarded. That is not an argument, Rachel. You're insulting millions and millions of people in this country that don't believe in what you believe in. Go ahead, Ms. Retard, go ahead.
So that
Oh, wait, what did he just say? I thought that was a no-no word. Why can you say it, Brian? Why can you call her one when you just had a hissy fit because she called you one?
That was yet another
It's also unoriginal to steal someone's own joke and use it back on them. It's just lazy.
straw man
Oh,
ad
understand.
hom, not an argument, because, and I'll explain why. Do you know how long the birth rate has been below replacement levels? Any idea?
I'm sorry, are you asking me a question?
Yes.
What was the question?
How long
Yes, Brian, you're in a debate. You're just losing.
have birth rates been below replacement
I'm
levels?
going by the last 2 years according to the John
How
Hopkins School of
long?
Public
Answer
Health.
my question. How long have the birth rates been below replacement?
The data I have are the last 2 years.
Okay, he doesn't know, so I'll
Yeah,
tell you.
so tell me.
It's been for about 50 years.
Okay.
So was Trump to blame for the birth rate being below
I
replacement in
didn't
the
say that.
1980s?
I didn't say that.
Okay, what
You blamed it on the economy. The economy hasn't been bad for 50 years.
caused it then? During the prosperity of the early 90s, when we had
okay.
one of the best economies
respond.
we've had,
I'll respond.
why was the birth rate below
Sure.
replacement
Sure,
then?
sure.
Let's hear it.
So I'll answer that, but I'll start by saying this.
He's dancing. It's getting bad.
I don't know what's so funny. I have the study for the last 2 years. Now, I didn't bring up the study for why the birth rate was lower 50 years ago.
Yeah, no.
And the reason why I didn't is in my opening monologue, what I told everybody is that I care about what's going on in this country
But I disproved
right
your point.
now.
My point disproves your point.
What are you talking about?
You
It's
said
the economy
you
right
said,
now.
You said
right now.
yes. You said the reason women aren't
Right
having.
now.
Yeah. You
Right
said
now.
the reason is this.
Right.
I'm
And-
telling you, it's been this way for 50 years, so it can't be anything that's happened in
I
the
just
last
gave
2
you
years.
why women are not having children
Are you not
now.
able to follow
Are
logic?
you not able to listen to logic? I just
That's
told you.
not logic.
I just told you right now the reason why women aren't
Because of one study you read.
having kids now. Now I know you care about 50 years.
And it still proves her point. If they weren't worried about the economy, they weren't worried about the economy when they just stayed at home and cooked and cleaned. They were worried about it now because they're in the workplace. That's exactly what she said, part of it.
Ago. I
No,
care
I'm
about right
talking
now.
about consistency over
Okay,
time.
and right now the number one reason is the economy. That's what I'm trying to explain to you. Why don't you pay attention?
What I'm
Why
trying to
don't you
explain
listen?
to you is that even in the 90s, when the economy was at its best, women were still not having more
And
than
times change and people change and
But they didn't change, Brian. That's her point. Listen and stop interrupting.
women have different opinions
What I'm
of why
telling
they're
you
doing
is
different things.
this disproves your theory.
No, it doesn't.
You can take one survey.
No, it doesn't.
What you have is one survey. How many people were asked the question in the survey?
I have it right here. 18,000.
18,000.
Yes, 18,000.
And they
John Hopkins.
Right. So you don't think that it could be the case that when they say it's the economy, they're not saying we're starving. They're saying, look, I want to go on a cruise every year. I want that second vehicle. I want a higher standard of living,
Wait,
and
hold on.
I
Let
would
me
prefer
get
to
this
have
right.
a job and work.
So the
I can
reason
have
why
stuff.
women aren't having kids is because they want to go on a cruise.
It's
That's
because
not
they
retarded.
want a higher material standard of living. And
Okay.
so
That is not what she said. She was making a point that women want to live exorbitant lifestyles now because they watch TV and that's what they all have on TV. So they want to live that too because of feminism. That's what she's trying to say. And he's too retarded to understand it.
So
All right. How do you
now
know that?
Well,
How do you know that?
you did this big long monologue, so now I'm going to do one. If you know anything about the economics of the last 50 years and the birth rates, you would know that prior to pushing women into the workforce in huge numbers in 1970, most women with school-age children stayed at home. Overwhelmingly, there was only like 6% of kids who had a mom that worked full-time. During that time, the economy fundamentally changed into a two-income economy where rather than just having the basics, where a janitor who's a father of 5 can support all those kids on one income and they can have a house in a nice neighborhood, they can have a car, they can afford groceries, and they can even afford to retire. Imagine such a thing, like the baby boomers did. When we pushed women into the economy in huge numbers, it did a couple of things. The first is it created that two-income trap, where now you don't have a family wage, you have an individual wage. And on top of that, we changed from being more of a productive economy to what my friend Aaron Clary calls a she economy. And this is more of a service-based, consumer-based, debt-based economy, where everybody is buying more than they can afford, they are financing everything, they are living well above their means, and it takes two incomes to keep this up. And this
Preach.
happened because we gave women a ton of free college. It wasn't really free. They had to pay it back. Women are now the majority debt holders They have the most degrees, but they also go into life with an average of $50,000 in debt.
Are you against
so
student
yes,
debt forgiveness?
I'm not done yet.
Oh.
So yes, when you have a young woman who spends all of her formative years going to school, she doesn't graduate college till she's at least 22, maybe later. She's got $50,000 in debt starting out, and she has to start a career. Of course she's going to say, I can't have a baby. I just started in life with debt and a career that I have to build. Otherwise, all this college I went to is for nothing. That's why I chose not to do it, because I wanted to have a family, and I thought it doesn't make sense for me to do things this way.
Yep.
And a lot of women want to do that and feel the social pressure that they cannot make that choice because everyone around them goes, you've got to have your own money. You can't depend on a man. That's scary. He'll abuse you and you'll have to leave and it's going to be awful. And we don't fearmonger women about, let's say a woman wants to be a dentist and we say, well, what happens if you get arthritis? What if you hurt your hand or lose your fingers in an accident? You can't rely on being a dentist. What if something happens?
All right, let me jump in here.
So
let me-
it's not that, just to summarize, it's not that women are too poor. It's not that people are too poor. We still have a much higher standard of living than we've ever had historically. It's not that we can't afford children. It's that we fundamentally transformed the economics of the country and people have different material standards that they want instead that they prioritize over family.
Okay, so